Okay. Having some technical difficulties. Anyways. Yep, this video is for entertainment and education purposes only. Any and everything I say could be wrong. Do your own research and come to your own conclusions. This video, I want to go back into something that I've talked about for many years. And that is, well, this video is going to be about prepping, that it's a really popular subject, prepping, because it's a global genocide and Klaus Schwab and the country's being invaded and everything. That means, so prepping is important, right? Prepping. So this is a particular aspect of the idea of prepping that that doesn't get talked about very much, and that I like to talk about. So let's talk about the idea of this. Prepare for a life of homelessness. Prepare for a life of homelessness. Because a lot of you preppers, you're preparing for like the Red Dawn, the Red Dawn invasion, where the airplanes are going to come over, and and it's a foreign invasion. You're preparing for a foreign invasion, not a domestic. You're not looking at that it's a domestic warfare. The people you think are your allies are your enemies. It's a domestic issue. It's not a foreign. And so a lot of these preppers are like, oh yeah, when the zombie apocalypse happens, and when this and that. So I'm going to give you an example of this is a true story my friend just told me. And this happened in Sacramento, California, like either yesterday or the day before or just recently, and it was all over the news. And it was this guy, he's some kind of homeowner or something. And the tax man had been moving in on him for a while. The government, the tax. And he's like just trying to get a little bit of a break. It's like, hey, can you just give me a little bit of time? I can get this figured out. And of course, with the bureaucracy and the way the government works and all this shit, no, they don't care. They don't care about anything. Right? And so this guy got the shit end of the stick on the deal, and basically is like, no, just go be homeless and give us that fucking house and fuck off. That's the way the government and the banks and everything. And it just came up out of the blue. See, he had never prepared for a life of homelessness. Like, prepare for it. Prepare that out of the blue one day, Hurricane Helene is going to come through your fucking town. And your house is going to disappear overnight. And you're going to be homeless with nothing. And the Red Cross that claims that they're there to help, they're not going to do anything. All these government programs that claim they're there to help, they're not going to do anything for you. And then you're gonna see the stark, harsh reality of all of this that I have been trying to explain for the last 8 years just on these video posting platforms alone. That doesn't include the years prior that I was doing the same thing, only out in the community, in the real world, and in front of town councils and city councils and stuff. I've got many years into this, beyond just my 7 or 8 years of running YouTube channels and BitChute channels and shit. No, prepare for a life of homelessness. Do you not understand this? Like I was talking about Hurricane Helene the other day. That hurricane just came through overnight, like drove thousands of Appalachian whites into literal homelessness. And I can tell you, based off of all my years' experience, homelessness, in working in the field and being homeless myself for many years, that all those people that became homeless from Hurricane Helene, they're all still homeless. But even though that story, it was a hot subject for about a week, Hurricane Helene was, and then now it's moving on to the next, clickbait bullshit. Jewish space lasers. Yeah, all those people, they're still homeless. And then, like I pointed out, Mark Dice is telling everybody that all homeless people are just mentally ill, drug addicts. This is what's going on. And nobody wants to talk about this because we've got interdimensional beings, CERN and all this gay shit, right? So anyways, prepare for a life of homeless. So this happened to this guy where the banks and the government came in and he's just like trying to reason with this system that you can't reason with and saying, hey, if you just give me like a little bit of time, I'll get this all figured out. And they're like, nope, sorry. We're taking your house today, or, we're going to be by next week to take your house. And we don't just go be fucking homeless for all we care. We don't care. So guess what the guy did? Yeah, he went postal. The motherfucker, this guy went postal. And that's because he didn't prepare for a life of homelessness. He didn't prepare that this could happen. And so when he found out that they weren't gonna work with him at all because they just want his house, they want his property, they don't care. They have no interest they're just thieves. That's all they are, is thieves. And so all of a sudden, out of the blue, he realizes this. And so he rigs his house up with the PG&E gas and electric system. He rigs the house up to just explode. And he has enough wherewithal to rig it up, do some MacGyver rigging to where it's kind of a timed explosion. And so he sets it all up to go off at a certain time. Then he goes out on his porch and he just starts ranting and raving about it, of how, the system is designed to, steal from everybody and this isn't a free society and all this stuff, and goes on and he's on his, soapbox, which is the front porch of his house, going on and on about all this. And then the whole place just fucking explodes. Like the whole fucking house just fucking boom. And like I'm saying, prepare for a life of homelessness. And you can go to all these prepper channels and they never talk about this. They never do. Even like Black Scout Survival. I kind of like Black Scout Survival. But see, none of these people are looking at homelessness in relation to anything at all. Because you've been groomed and programmed and brainwashed to have tunnel vision, to the point where if someone like me tries to talk about, dude, you might want to prepare for a life of homelessness, because I've seen the government come in and steal people's houses, and overnight they went from being just another housed person to overnight they're homeless. You see it over and over again. Hurricane Helene, all those people overnight, they're all homeless. Prepare for a life of fucking homelessness. And like, I'll try to say this, and your average person has been so brainwashed and conditioned and groomed and fucking like MK Ultra mind fucked to where they can't even hear what I'm saying at all when I say prepare for a life of homelessness. Because you're more likely to end up homeless than you are to be in like a Red Dawn scenario where, there's a, Israel starts flying planes over and dropping Israel soldiers and this and that. Like, you're more like, your enemy is a domestic enemy. It's not a foreign enemy. And your enemy covets everything you have. Your enemy, if you have a nice looking wife or girlfriend, your enemy is right around the corner and wants to fuck your wife all over the fucking place. And if you have a house and, you know, and you're getting, you know, some kind of measure of material success, your enemy is at your doorstep. Your enemy is that person that you think is your friend who's actually jealous because you have what they want, including a decent girlfriend, and they'll rob you blind if they can get away with it. You know, that's why it's this whole thing about Jewish space lasers is so interesting to me, where it's like, oh, the enemy's over there. Yeah, that's what your enemy wants to tell you, is I'm not your enemy. Your enemy is those people way over there. No, that's not the truth at all. Like, your enemy can be your own family. There's documented proof of it. Like, how many stories have you heard of parents fucking their children over, children fucking their parents over, children murdering their own parents for, you know, like, the enemy is not in a galaxy far, far away where babies' body parts are flying all over in Palestine. You're lost, bro. You're totally lost. No. And yes, prepare for a life of homelessness. Who is talking about? What prepper channel is talking about prepare for a life of homelessness? Like I said, my buddy just told me this story. Just happened a couple days ago. Some guy went postal because the banks and government had already decided they're taking his house. And all he needed was, just give me a week or something I can figure it out. And they're like, nope, sorry, this is the way the paperwork says this, and this is the way it is. And this is just the way, this is in everything, you know. Oh no, I'm sorry, no, I'm sorry, we can't help you, even though they can. Oh, no. I'm just doing my job. I just pull this lever and push this button. And I'm just told to push this lever and pull this button. So, sorry, I can't help you. You know, and meanwhile, they're pulling the levers and pushing the buttons that are operating the, the machine that comes in and just steals your house from you. But it's not their fault because they just push levers and pull buttons. So, sorry, can't help you, sir. I got a family to feed. And so, it's not funny. What's funny is that nobody wants to admit that this is your society. This is, your society creates homelessness and then blames it on the homeless and says those people are homeless because they're all mentally ill and drug addicts. That's why. Meanwhile, all these there was some other hurricane now they're talking about over on the East Coast that's set to fucking destroy it. Like, what about all that shit that happened in Texas? A bunch of natural disasters. How many natural disasters have taken place in Texas in the last year that have displaced who knows how many hundreds and thousands of people into homelessness? Where do you think all those people go? They just magically end up housed again. And you know this how? Because you've been homeless and had to, rebuild yourself down from the bottom up. You've experienced that yourself, where the banks and the government just came and just stole everything from you, and you had to build yourself up from the ground up, and you just did it all by yourself. And you've experienced this, huh? Prepare for a life of homeless. Like me. And the only reason I do it is because homelessness happened to me. And in hindsight, looking back, I'm like, man, if I would have prepared for something like that to happen, It would have saved me a lot of years if I'd have known. But see, I have been brainwashed and groomed and conditioned and MK'd or mind fucked just as much as you have. So I never would have anticipated that I was going to end up homeless, you know? So when it did happen, it totally caught me off guard. But now that it's happened to me, and I literally was stuck in homelessness for 10 years, now I know to prepare for homelessness. And that's why I've done a lot of these videos in the past where I talk about prepare for a life of homelessness, because you and me and everybody are all being brainwashed to think that, oh, homelessness only happens to people who bring it on themselves because of their poor life decisions. And that's totally not true. That's a half truth at best. And so when it happens to you, you've been believing all this brainwash all these years and therefore thinking, well, you're not like that. You're not like those people. And then it happens to you. Well, then that's when you go postal like this guy who blew his fucking house up. Luckily, nobody else got hurt, as far as I know, but he did. He got blown into fucking oblivion. Like his body was fucking scorched and probably, dismembered and shit. But, and that's what, haven't you ever, do you know where the term postal came from? That's what, see, where the term postal came from is people that worked for a post office. The government was basically gonna fuck the post office workers to the point where they wouldn't even be able to afford their housing, their cost of living, and it was essentially, it was threatening them into homeless, like they're basically going to be homeless as a result of the decisions the federal government had made regarding post offices, and a whole bunch of people that worked at the post office went postal. They came into the post office with shotguns and fucking started shooting everybody and all. That's where the term came from. See, the threat of homelessness will drive a person into that kind of action. Whereas if you're aware that homelessness can happen to anyone, anywhere, at any time, not just mentally ill drug addicts, like it can happen to anyone at any time. If you are mentally prepared for this, then you're not gonna go postal. And you can actually do prepping, prep yourself, prepare for a life of homelessness. Like for example, because I have experienced all this, so like my prepping gear, my gear is all based in that, like when I become homeless, And so I have my house, it's a tent, but it's like, it's a top grade military special ops tent, one-man tent, that's very small and compact so I can carry it with me. So that if and when I become homeless again, I'm ready for it. Like when it happens, I'm like, bring it, motherfucker, But that's because of all the experience I've had, and and stuff is what drove me to prepare for becoming homeless again. Because I know how easy it is to just overnight, boom, you're homeless. Again, look at Hurricane Helene. That just fucking overnight, thousands of people became homeless overnight. And they don't just magically get housed. And see, people, I'm telling you, people are brainwashed. They just think that, oh, if I'm homeless, oh, there's all these government programs, and I'm really a special smart kind. I'm a special kind of person who's really attuned and smart, to where if that happened to me, within a month I wouldn't be homeless anymore. It's like, but see, the problem is that if and when it does happen to you, that's not the reality, and the reality is you're fucked, dude. You're totally fucked, and I would guess that probably 9 out of 10 people that end up homeless, they just slip through the cracks and completely disappear, never to be seen or heard from again. No, and I mean literally, because no one wants anything to do with the homeless person. Once you become like your family will completely disown you. Oh, so and so's homeless. Oh, yeah, mentally ill drug addict again. What a shit. And your family has no problem completely disowning you. It's like, whatever. Good luck. 9 times out of 10. And that's it. Your family and friends completely, just like that song, that Eric Clapton song. That's why people write songs about this, and you hear these stories and songs, and like, when you're down and out, nobody knows your name. But as soon as you get on your feet again, everyone wants to be your long lost friend. So let's say, like, if I were to win the lottery today, we stop at a gas station and I just say, fuck it. And then I win $1 million. Dude, I'll have friends that I didn't even know I had. Like, all of a sudden, everybody's my best friend. And again, this is your society that functions this way, where, hey, man, if I'm just shitting in a bucket, fucking just barely scraping by, just barely above homelessness, nobody's gonna want to have nothing to do with me. It doesn't matter what the content of my character is. It doesn't matter if I have a quality content of character about myself. No, all that matters is whether or not I have money. I could be the biggest fucking scumbag in the world, but if I'm a multi-millionaire, it doesn't matter how much of a scumbag I am. I'm gonna have friends. I have all these friends that I never even met them, and they're like my best friend. They're just waiting in a long line to be able to shake my hand and tell me that how admired I am, how much they admire me because I'm so successful. When all I did was win the fucking lottery. Like, I don't even know what you're talking about. I just bought a fucking ticket, And again, this is your society, man. So, yeah, that Eric Clapton song. When you're down and out, how does it go? You're basically like, yeah, when you're down and out, nobody wants nothing to do with you. But as soon as you get on your feet, everybody wants to be your long lost friend. It doesn't matter how you got on your feet. You could have got on your feet by, making a pact with the devil, signing your name in blood. It doesn't matter how you got on your feet. If you cheated and lied and stole your way up into, that doesn't matter. What matters is that you got money. So all of a sudden, and the only reason people want to be your friend is because they want a piece of that pie. They want to get in on some of that action. Again, your society. But yeah, prepare for a life of homelessness. That way, if and when it does happen, you can survive it without going postal and, just blowing yourself up, doing like a, turn it into a suicide bomber. You know, you're just gonna go and suicide bomb some area, and like for what? Like what have you done? You know, have you proven anything to anybody? No, no, because first of all, nobody cares. Yeah, prepare for a life of homeless. And I've done many videos talking about preparing for a life of homelessness. And, you know, nobody, I'm the only person that would ever do a video about prepare for a life of homelessness. But then, like, when you look at the World Economic Forum and these conspiracies and conspiracy theories about how, you know, they're intentionally collapsing the economy and they're going to collapse the economy and we're going to be eating bugs and stuff, like all this shit, like, yeah, that's, yeah. Prepare for a life of homelessness. Anyways, whatever.